On this month's episode of Njeri Talks, we have something extremely special for you. Myself and Steph, Njeri's two best friends, get to put her in the hot seat. And you get to learn a little bit about what makes Njeri tick, what makes her laugh, and about her life. We're so excited. And she's probably a little nervous.
Very, very nervous.
Then don't be, Njeri.
Okay.
We'll be gentle.
I hope so.
First of all, how does it feel to be sitting there in that little
Well,
guest seat?
the best thing about it is that I haven't had to do any preparation this month, so that's great. But sitting with you guys, it's so special for me because you guys are my best friends. I've known you for ages. You know me very well, and so I think you're the perfect people to interview me. So I love that.
Speaking of love, I want to ask Steph. Steph, what is it you love about Njeri?
Well, it's just the being that is Njeri. She is just she's just such a great lady. I have the best time with her, but I think it's because the way that we connect. We love the same things. We love the best things in life and we love enjoying them together. And I think once we figure that out,
we work hard and
we work
play
hard and we like to play hard as well. Not too hard.
Not
but
too hard,
yes.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we just love the same types of things, same types of restaurants, and we'll touch into a little bit when we're talking about early life. But I think although we didn't know each other when we were young kids, when we came together at university, we realised that we had quite similar upbringings. And that's really brought us together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just have very similar personalities. We love joking and laughing around and teasing each other. And I guess, I always loved how serious Njeri was about school, university. She's extremely hardworking, very determined. She knew where she was going, and she was just always a very inspiring friend to have. I thought this is the kind of person that I want to be friends with for life.
Oh.
And here we are 20 years later. It's but it's just still as much fun as it was in the university days.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I love that.
Okay, so I'm thinking about what it is I love about you. Njeri, I've known you for 30 years.
Oh my gosh.
3 decades.
I think you're giving away our age. That's not good.
No, we look very young, don't we? And what's kind of wild to me is all the ways you continue to surprise me. I think I love that. I had this moment where I got invited into a circle that you were having with professional women. And I just sat there in awe because here was this person that I've known for so many years in so many different contexts. And it just, when you're sitting there watching someone just in their mastery, you connect with people, you connect with different interests in ways that I feel like just kind of blow my mind. That's the professional answer for why I love you.
Okay, let's keep it professional.
And I think my first memory of you was the halls of school. I feel like you showed up mostly speaking French.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes. So when I first joined Hillcrest, I didn't speak any English. I'd just come from Senegal, and my parents thought, it's best for us to learn English at this young age. And so we moved to Kenya really on our own, me and my older sister, and went to school in Turi, actually. And Turi had, clashes at the time, political clashes. And then they were like, okay, go to Hillcrest for the time and stay with your cousins. And so when I came to Hillcrest, I didn't actually speak any English. I only spoke French. And it was really difficult because it's that age where people are kind of in their own friendship groups. People have already grown up together. A lot of the people who went to Hillcrest had already gone to the same kindergarten, and I was a new kid who didn't even speak the language, let alone understand what the teachers were saying. So it was a very interesting introduction to life in Nairobi.
So before Nairobi, paint us what were the early years like? That's the gap because
because I guess no one has an idea of that apart from my family. So we lived in Senegal. Well, I was born in Geneva. We lived in Senegal for my young childhood, and I went to school, French school there, in an all girls Catholic school actually, called Jeanne d'Arc.
A Catholic school?
A Catholic school for all of my life. Yeah, I went to kindergarten there, I went to primary school there, yeah, and that was it. And it was mainly, Sundays at the beach, Sundays at the pool, ballet lessons, gymnastics lessons, all of the usual things that people do, but really in the French system. And so, for example, in France on Wednesday afternoons, no one goes to school. It's more like an afternoon off. Yeah, there are lots of things that are completely different. And because Senegal is a French colony, we adopted all of those things. And I think it's given me a really well-rounded understanding of different cultures and how different people, operate, and sensibilities. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you were how old when you came to Nairobi?
I was 10 when I came to Nairobi for the first time, yeah.
What would you at this age tell your 10-year-old self in that moment where you arrived in this?
I was so excited to come. I wanted my independence. I don't know why. I just wanted my independence. I was so happy. I was so free because I have an older sister. And I think I was always under her shadow. And I thought, let me just be by myself for once. I can make my own decisions and be my own person, have my own group of friends. And I was so excited for a new chapter. I love adventure anyway. So anything that is going to take me somewhere new is going to be exciting for me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you are very adventurous. I'm interested to know, so when you were coming to Kenya, how did you feel about Kenya, the country? Did you feel this connection with your home country?
Yeah.
How did you view it?
That's a really good question because it's a difficult one for me, because even to this day, it's yes, I'm Kenyan, but really on the outside, I think a lot of people would say that I'm not really that Kenyan, right? But now I really try and engross myself in Kikuyu culture. I'm a Kikuyu girl, and try and embrace it. But because we didn't live here, I didn't get a sense of the country and everything else that comes along with that. But I think I'm really trying to embrace it now.
In that wild period where you're approaching adolescence, you've just moved countries, you've kind of moved social contexts. What's the thing that kind of kept you grounded and going?
I think the only thing that I can say, and it's the same for all of my life, even going to university and stuff, is treat people how you want to be treated and just be fair to them and give them the opportunity to show you who they are. And that's what I did. I really rely on, my inner intuition, my feelings about, is this, how do I feel about this? Is it safe? Is it, so I've always relied on my own intuition. And I think that has really, really carried me through well.
Is there any moment where that let you down?
Yes. With bad boyfriends.
Or friends.
Or friends.
Friends.
Yeah. Or people who think you're friends. And, people make mistakes. I think and one of the things I would say is, don't bash yourself so much. Any young person, don't bash yourself so much. People will make mistakes. You will make mistakes. You'll probably know the answer and then still, make the mistake anyway and go for it and take the risk. But I think you'll always be steered back to center. And I think that's hopefully where I am now. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've done a little bit of childhood into school.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where you decided I want to do law?
Yeah.
What shaped your professional choice?
Have you, when you're kids and you say, this is really not fair to your parents?
Yes.
Or this is not fair at all.
The time.
I used to be like, this is not fair, this is not fair, this is not fair. And I think I just had a sense of what is right and what is wrong. Seeing, the imbalance, poverty around us, we came, I guess we all came up from a very privileged upbringing. Seeing unfairness day in, day out, seeing the opportunities that you have versus other people. I always thought I wanted, justice or fighting for justice is something I would be doing. Obviously, that has not turned out that way because I thought it was going to be human rights or something like that, really causes. I remember one of my friends when I was younger was actually the Palestinian ambassador's daughter because she lived next door. And she told us a lot about Intifada and, the struggle with Gaza and Palestine and, all of that. And we kind of understood that at a very young age when they were fighting for freedom and stuff like that. So even that sense of what is the right thing to do was always very much ingrained in me. And fighting for justice was what I thought I was going to do. Instead, I'm a corporate lawyer.
So it makes sense now why you went to SOAS.
Yes. Yes, and it was at the time when I was doing my masters, where we met,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was more going to be how do I get into the UN, and that was the perfect setting for me because we do all of the political stuff, we do law, international law, and that was really going to be a grounding for that kind of place. Yeah.
Okay, take us to the next phase of your life, which hopefully Steph will.
Well, it's high school, isn't it? Have we done high school?
Oh wait, no, we haven't done. Oh my goodness, I've blanked out high school. That tells you like how intense
bad
high
it
school was.
Now, Aleya, before you even start that, I want to ask you that question back in terms of what do you love about Njeri? And then let's dive into the experience in high school.
What do I love about Njeri?
I mean, don't struggle so much.
No. I think what it is, it's like, how do I encapsulate 30 years of somebody? Do you know what I mean? And oh my gosh, I know exactly what it is. You're just so true to who you are. Oh. Like I love that about you. And that has been true from the moment I met you. You've just had a really defined sense of who you are. And like even the ways in which life like pushes and shapes and like you're just so clear. And you're so cool with having lots of different types of like idiosyncrasies. Like it makes perfect sense that you work hard and you play hard, that you are this like kick-ass lawyer and amazing chef and connector, and like you hold a lot of like multitudes within you and you do it without
such ease.
Yeah, it's just who you are. And also you are ride or die. I really love that about you. You are ride or die.
That's true. I think one of the things I would say on that is that, especially for people who are younger, you only have a finite amount of time on this earth. We don't even know how long we all have. But God knows you need to make the most out of it. And I just thought, what will I say at the end of my life? What will I have achieved? And that's one of the things that I keep all the time thinking. I really want to make some kind of impact, and hopefully it's a positive one. So on this earth.
I mean, is that a thing you've been thinking about for a long time?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a question many of us enter into at this season of our life.
Yeah.
But
I just think that there's so many people they're great people who've done so many things at such a young age, right? And we're still faffing around looking for boys and God knows what, And especially when I was getting to 40, I started thinking, what have you done? What are you saying?
Yeah.
And I think that has been the catalyst for a lot of changes that I've made, especially in the last 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of seasons, so what was high school like for you?
High school was the worst.
Yeah, which is also why I blanked it out.
Yeah, it was the worst.
Really?
What made it the worst?
I think we were a minority of Black students and Asian students. It was not cohesive in the way that it should have been. I think everyone had their different things that they were doing in their different pockets. There was we had the fantasy, and this is so silly, we had the fantasy of the American high school life where you have fun with your friends on weekends, which we really didn't. We were mostly either at tuition, and those people who went to Misha, shout out to the people who went to Misha, we were mostly trying to get some kind of certification or, trying to do all manner of things. No one wanted us, as we didn't have first boyfriend experiences or anything like that. We were trying to be popular at the same time, and it's a whole mishmash of things. It wasn't an enjoyable experience for me. I don't think. What was it for you?
I mean, the other trippy thing for me always is like you're in this and I don't know what it's like now, but at that time you're in this British schooling system that's trying to shape you into like these little like British kids.
Correct.
Here we are like playing rounders and then singing hip hip hurrah, one for a jolly good game.
Jolly good game.
And it's so jarring because you're so disconnected from the Kenyan experience.
Fully.
And there's a sense of, for me, I really felt there was a sense of like almost like institutionalized self-hate.
Yeah.
Trying to turn you into something else.
Yeah.
And that's only something I started to reckon with as I got older.
Yeah.
But did we ever learn a day of Kenyan history?
We did not.
You did not.
Not
We did
a
not.
day.
Not a
We
day
didn't
of
learn
Kenyan
about the
history.
independence movement.
Not independence, nothing like that. And you're right, it is self-hate because you're living in Kenya, but you're not learning anything about the country itself. You don't speak the language. I barely speak Swahili now, and people always make fun about that for me. It's more like you're trying to fit into the British system, which is, and then you're supposed to be really grateful for the privilege of doing that, because it's so expensive,
I mean, hearing about your stories, you guys, when I came to meet Njeri and then, came to meet this wider kind of Kenyan family that I became friends, with, and hearing about your stories in Hillcrest, I had that fantasy about it being this kind of school. It was very different to my West African experience, of school and schooling, how mixed it was as well. It really had this kind of American high school, and I thought it was great. They had this very different experience to us, and there was maybe so many activities that you were doing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting hearing this side. I haven't heard this from you guys at all. I thought that Hillcrest was like the best school, but what did stand out to me, and I did see play out amongst you guys in your friendships groups in those 20s, was very competitive. You guys were very competitive. You were competing amongst yourselves, like who was going to be doing this, who was going to become this. From all of you, I remember.
Yeah, because it was this battle for excellence, battle for making sure that you're doing the best. But
has that continued through since that time amongst you and your Kenyan friend group?
I think well, it's changed over time because everyone is doing so many different things. At the time, you were all focused on where you're going to go for university and what are you going to do with your life, And I think people have made such courageous choices. One of the reasons, Aleya, I really love you so much is because you were brave enough to be like, I'm not going to do this management course, because you went to McGill to do management, right?
Yeah.
And it's too straitjacketed for you. And looking at you now, of course, it wasn't going to be the career path that you wanted. Of course, it wasn't going to be, ideal for you to do that. But that's what you thought you had to do because everyone was doing that. But I really don't want to be like, bashing Hillcrest. It's not necessarily the school itself, because I think they did everything they could to make sure that we were successful. It's more the system and what it meant for young people like us who are Kenyan and are going to have to reintegrate into Kenyan society and really have no clue how to do that because we didn't.
Yeah. And the context also, like our parents, at that time, it felt like that was the only way through, was make sure they get the kind of schooling that's going to get them onto the world stage.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so where did we've talked about like the things that were not so great.
Yeah.
What are your joyful memories
of school,
of high school?
Probably like the plays, the dancing, the entertainment.
Also, Njeri sings.
Oh, singing, yeah,
like so beautifully.
And people are going to be asking me to sing. Yes, I was a soloist.
Yeah. Soprano, I think,
Soprano,
right?
Yeah. Singing, dancing, anything artsy, I loved. Yeah, but again, even if you look at it today, if you're an art student and very good at creative, the likelihood, how would you justify that this is going to be my career and I'm going to be successful at it and I'm going to make money?
Especially at that
with
time.
It. At that time, there was no.
Our parents saw creative as an option.
There was no
for
option.
us.
So you had to choose a career that's going to actually take you somewhere.
And also at that time, Kenya, I think we were still under dictatorship, right? Moi had...
Do you call it a dictatorship?
100%. 100%.
Okay.
And like Moi had...
Will this podcast go to air?
Oh, actually, sorry, I forgot. I'm very political. I should tone it down. But there had been, the art scene had been systematically decimated. Yeah. So even the imagination of being an artist didn't exist in that way. Like it was completely... Do you remember the Kenyan music had just begun?
Yes, and it was Five Alive.
Right?
Five Alive was the first one.
And Five Alive, Heartstone.
Heartstone, yes. That was just at the end.
Yeah.
I remember when Lauryn Hill came to school.
Tell us that story, Jen. Because it's a wild story.
Okay, so Lauryn Hill comes to school and she was visiting Kenya and someone told her, go to, come and see a Kenyan school.
Which is hilarious
Which
that
is
it was
hilarious
Hillcrest.
that it was Hillcrest that she decided to come to, because obviously, it's not the typical Kenyan school. It's got all the amenities, whatever. And then she gets on stage. Michael, I think, was the guitarist at the time, gets on the guitar with her. And everyone in the school is stunned into silence, because we were like, wow, first of all, we've been taught and brought up not to, rush the stage, or you definitely don't do anything that would embarrass the school or anything like that. And then all of a sudden, everyone ran to the front to see her, and then she sang, and she was the person at the time, so she sang "Killing Me Softly," I think.
All the cool kids had skived school that day because it was the
That's
last day of
true.
term,
Yes.
and like the nerds were in class,
Yes.
and then here comes Lauryn Hill, and it's
Yes, that's so true. And we had to be in school, so we weren't cool enough not to miss the last day of school. Yeah.
So was that the start of your love of concerts? Was that the
Oh
first
my
time you'd seen a
gosh,
live
I love
performance?
music. My dad loves music. I've loved music ever since I was young. So, and when you're living in Africa, the thought of being in a concert where your favorite artist is something so remote. So every time I can go and see someone, I will definitely take that opportunity. Yeah.
What's your favorite concert you've been for?
Tracy Chapman.
What? You've been for Tracy Chapman?
Yeah, she was amazing. The voice was exactly the same as on her record. She was amazing. Yeah. And then anything John Mayer, obviously.
Njeri has taken me to see John Mayer. She's the one who introduced me to. So I think you've got a very eclectic style. So that comes from your dad, you're saying?
I think so, because he listened to a lot of music. He listened to Diana Ross. He listened to Chuck Berry. He listened to a lot of 70s, 60s music on vinyl. And so, and it's not like, you guys, anyone who's young, you have the opportunity to skip the song and change the, we didn't have that. You listen to the record from start to finish. You can't just, skip a song. Cassettes had to be rewound. We had the Walkman, remember? All of those things are so...
Do you remember recording mixtapes, like sitting on the radio waiting for the song with your fingers on?
You would wait until the DJ stops talking so you can just press it, and then those are such 80s memories.
They really are.
Childhood memories.
They were the best time. I think we were the last generation.
Yeah. Even getting a shout out on the radio. That was such a big deal. But that was just at the beginning of when we were just in 1998, 1999, when Capital FM started.
Yeah, Hits Not Homework.
Yeah, Hits Not Homework.
And even the phone call, like you'd have to
time it. Everything had to be timed. Yeah. So crazy. Yeah. But really an unspoiled childhood, I think, or even teenagehood, because we didn't experience crazy things. There was no drugs so much. There was going out, but it was very limited. My dad used to come and pick us up from the club at 11 o'clock. You had to be standing outside.
Njeri would come and beg my dad to be like, please let Aleya come out.
I would beg Aleya's dad to let her go out, and he would inevitably say no half of the time.
It was very sheltered, I would say.
Yeah.
And then you're thrust into London. What is that like? Your first
Gosh, I used to get so irritated, because every time there was no, at the time, and people who go to London now, the bus, it says, this bus is going towards here. Remember, we didn't have that.
Oh no,
they didn't say that. It was like, this is the number, and you are literally you're literally checking. Do you go to this place? So half of the time, the first year in London is getting lost. Right. And taking the wrong bus, going all the way to some place, and then coming all the way back. So it was getting to know the city, but really a lot of freedom. A lot of freedom that there's no one over looking at what time you're coming home. A lot of the classes started late. You can attend, you can't, and you don't have to attend. You really have to make decisions very early at university about what kind of university experience you want to have, because if you choose the wrong path, it can be disastrous.
And you strike me as someone so super responsible. Is that something that you ever navigated in your head in those early days?
Of course. And thinking, do I even have to go in? Maybe I have a slight hangover from a night out. But the thing that remained is the fact that someone has paid, and again, someone has paid for you to be there. Someone is paying. Someone has made a sacrifice for you to go to university, to go to school, to, all of those things. And that has always been, I cannot afford to mess up. And I don't have the luxury of being able to mess up.
Yeah. So, Njeri, why did you decide you worked when we were at university?
Yeah.
And I always liked that about her because they were giving.
Yes, I was a receptionist.
Rich Kenyan kids. But she was working.
I was a receptionist. I was working as an admin. It was a very, very good education in how to deal with people. Not the easiest of people. Why did I work? Because I needed money. I think sometimes. Okay, first of all, we had a brother and a sister also, intending to attend university in short order after me. There was no, how are they going to, survive if we didn't cater for ourselves and learn how to be independent? I have to say that my parents didn't want me to work, but I knew the things that I want in life, they're not going to be achieved by sitting, no. It wasn't going to happen like that. So I decided to work. And I worked, and it was a good job. They really loved me. And in fact, they were really supportive when I went to law school in the end. Really nice. Shout out to Camden Council.
I love the shout out list. It's so wild.
Yeah.
How did you all meet?
I know.
Go, Steph.
I'm even trying to remember the first. Right, I'm trying to remember the first day, but there is a little backstory. We were connected by a Kenyan American girl, right? And I think once we met each other, we just clicked. I remember it was like an event at the Brunei Gallery.
Yeah.
And this person finally kind of agreed for us to be able to meet in this place. But I was really excited to meet this girl. She just said, "Oh, this is her friend, etc., etc." So, you're meeting people. And I think it was a break during it. And then we came and said hello to each other. And then just slowly, we just became closer and closer. And the first time, I think Njeri called me and invited me to a party. Why did you invite me, Njeri?
Because I thought you were cool.
Well,
you could come to the party.
We barely knew each other at that point.
That's true, actually. But I thought you were cool. You could come to the party. We're having a party at my flat. Yeah. Yes. In Islington.
And there's one of our first pictures. Yeah. We were looking at that.
Yes, we were looking at it. We looked so young. Gosh. And then 20 years later, here we are.
Yeah. Let's talk about uni now, right? That early stage. So just as you said, I think, Njeri, the way you sat in this centre, and even something that Aleya said, you always bring me back to centre. And I love this seriousness about her. That she might be able to have fun, but she's always like, what is the plan?
Yeah.
What are we doing? And, where did that come from, Njeri? Is that just naturally you? Or did your parents drive that in you? This sense of responsibility and just knowing when to stop and do the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's my parents definitely, because they had had struggled in their young adulthood. My dad got scholarships to go to America. My mom also got scholarships to go to London. She was also at UCL, and the sacrifice and the fact that it's not handed to you on a silver plate is what really is one of the things that has always kept me going. Also, when you live in London, or even any big city, and you can see the haves and haves not. Yeah. Now, it's not a guarantee that you will definitely be the haves. Yeah. But you can definitely be the have-nots if you don't, put in the work, or at least do your bit and then see how it falls. So that drive has always been there for me to really succeed, and so I never have to look back. There's someone else was asking me why I work so hard. It's really so that I never have to look back and worry. Yeah.
And because you had a switch at university, I remember. You were doing a course with, and then you went to LLM. And tell us a little bit about that. Why did you make that switch?
Oh, so I wanted to do, you could decide on which type of LLM you wanted to do. And obviously thinking specifically international law, I was like, I need to do LLM in international law. And I went to see the tutor, and he was like, you're better off doing an LLM that you like, all of the courses, because it was an LLM where you could do courses from King's College, LSE, all of the different ones, and you could kind of mishmash it yourself. So I did a criminal law course, as well as an international development course, as well as a public international law course. And I think it was the best idea for me, because then I didn't have to do one specialty. But I ended up with alternative dispute resolution anyway, which was great.
how did the move happen from this, like, I want to do kind of more traditional justice law work to corporate law?
Okay, so when I then realized that in order to be qualified as a solicitor or a barrister in England, you needed to have a training contract. That training contract was not going to be from a international law type perspective, because in order for you to practice, you need to be a solicitor or barrister, and it needs to be in a corporate setting. Because of that, I decided that I needed to be in a corporate, setting and qualify there, just so that I could get that qualification.
So it's like circumstantial more than it was.
It was not circumstantial. It was more that I knew the only law firms that would be accepting people are corporate law firms, and
Okay.
Therefore that's why.
Do you have feelings about that choice?
Yes, in the sense that yes, because if I had followed my heart, where would I be now? And in terms of international development and things like that, but no, in the sense that I think it was the best decision to make at the time.
Okay, Njeri, tell us when you first started, when you were back in Kenya now, you're working, and you started in corporate law. We always never pat ourselves on the back for those small wins. Tell me about one big small win that you had in your first year.
Yeah.
That kind of you can always remember back to.
Yeah. So when I came back to Kenya and I joined Anjoala and Kana, I think the best thing I could say about it is the level of responsibility that they gave me very early on. So I had the ability to manage transactions, or even go on international trips. I went to Burundi for one transaction, very early on in the first year that I was here. And they gave me a lot of ability to run the matter and trusted me enough to do that. And that's when you really, I think, as a lawyer, enjoy the work, because you're responsible and you understand what is at stake, and you are the one who's leading it, rather than just being told, do this, do this, do this, do this. And so that's really what I would say.
So you felt that you've always been ready to get into that driving seat?
I mean, who isn't? No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't ready. But I was willing to, take the mantle when it was offered to me.
And like, when did you know that I need to now enter a different season of my life?
Well, it's a difficult one, because I knew long before I even made the jump. And I think anyone who is pondering, what am I doing? What, there's so much more for me. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling, like there's so much more that I can do,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
And what are you doing to make that a reality? I think that's what it was. It was, I can't sit here anymore. There's so much more that I want to do in life, and where am I going to achieve it? And again, we have a finite amount of time on this earth. What are we going to do to to make the most of it? It's not it's not like you're a rocket scientist, or solving world peace, or anything like that. But within your own sphere, what can you do to make your reality, and to improve someone else's life, and to make a difference? Just a few weeks ago, I was in Ivory Coast, and I went to visit one of the transactions that we're currently doing here. They have replicated the model in Ivory Coast, and it's a school. And I looked at the children, and I looked at the school itself, and it's going to be in Kenya as well. That makes a difference. I'm trying to facilitate the provision of that legal service, and for the school to be in this country, and just seeing those children and their faces and their hope, and some of them want to be lawyers, and asking me questions about how do I do this and how do I do that. I loved it. It's definitely not on the level of what real important things people are doing in life and for the world, but it's my own little contribution.
I love that you found a way to do that within,
meaningful work.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, let it be meaningful, and let it help someone. Let it have an impact.
For those of us who are not in the legal space, the artist and non-artist types, my reference point for law is like John Grisham novels.
Or what's it called? Suits.
Well, no, I never watched Suits.
So you watch Suits.
Okay, I need to watch Suits. What's the, what are there things about being a lawyer that maybe surprised you, and that you've kind of learned is part of the game?
Yeah.
as you've gotten into it?
I think that the part that surprises me is how people can be very take on the suit. Yeah. So they take on a persona in order to do the task. And you actively see them taking on this persona. Like there's one lawyer that I deal with all the time, and his negotiation style is to say something like, well, I've never seen this before, or I've never, this has never been done before. And you're looking at him like, what are you saying? Why would you adopt a persona? But it definitely is effective because, it takes you off, catches you off guard, you're in balance, whatever. But it works for him.
And
yeah.
it's performance.
It's performance. Yeah.
But
which is fantastic.
Like
yeah.
So that always surprises me because I try and be myself. Yeah. Good or bad, whichever one it is. And I really have not taken on any persona aside from myself. This is how it's going to be, and this is how it is. And so that makes me laugh. Also, the fact that when you have a title behind you, people automatically believe that you know what you're talking about, and that's not true.
Whoa.
That is not true at all. You put partner there, and people think, wow,
Yeah.
And then the other one that makes me laugh is the cheesiness of lawyer, liar, all of those jokes that people make when they find out that you're a lawyer. It's really not that funny. I don't find. I'm like,
the pickup lines when you're a lawyer just are different.
They're not giving.
I have so many questions.
I have so many questions.
Okay. I have one.
Okay.
Most underrated quality that served you in your career?
Underrated organization, I think.
Oh.
Organization and planning.
Jerry, you're good at organization.
Very.
Actually, you're very organized.
I might not
Except she's really bad with time.
Okay, I might not be a good time keeper, but I'm very organized. And I think that doing lists and things like that has really...
okay.
And also being responsive. I will respond very quickly, and I think that people appreciate that.
You have a good sense of urgency.
Yeah. So being on top of it. And it's not something that, it's not something I knew that people respond to, but they do. They do.
Something you believed in so deeply when you were younger that you've completely changed your mind about?
Gosh, that's such a good question. That's such a good... this is kind of, I'm disillusioned about it now, but really on, that everything works out in the end. Sometimes I'm just looking at the world right now and thinking, really? Like all the decisions, in America and what's happening in the world, like, does it really work out? Like, since we've been young, that conflict in Gaza has been going on. DRC has been going on. Wars have been going on. It's really not demonstrated that, in the end, there's a peaceful outcome,
And what's kind of wild, I don't know if this is true for you, and I'm curious also for you, Steph, based on where you grew up. Like, I had this fallacy in my head that, like, once people know,
then they'll do something
about it and it'll change. And what this era has really just shattered that illusion. Everybody knows.
And they still don't do anything.
Because it's not really about knowledge, right?
And that depresses me somewhat, Because when you have children, or if we have children, they will come into the world where it's exactly the same thing. The opportunities that we have are still less than opportunities than most people in the West. We're still lagging behind. We're still going to have to fight for our corner wherever it is. So we're not any better, than, we've not done better we've done better maybe for our generation, but in terms of taking a step forward, I haven't seen that at all.
So what gives you hope then? Sorry, Steph, I just wanted to ask this. Like,
what gives me hope is really people. At the end of the day, it's the people who make it, every time I see someone doing something spectacular in the world, that pushes me to think there is hope out there, every time you see a woman achieving something that is breaking a glass ceiling, there's hope out there. It is not going to be earth-shattering changes. It's going to be, step by step, incremental changes that will change the way of the world.
Jerry, knowing what you know now in your career, and what mark would you hope to leave for the next generation of lawyers, corporate lawyers, in Kenya specifically?
The thing about what I'm trying to demonstrate, is that the legal services can be provided at or similar level to any of the best law firms across the globe. So we're striving for excellence. We're striving to demonstrate that we can be the best, and we need to provide the services that are impacting this continent on the continent. And that's really what I'd like to see. I'd like to see African lawyers leading transactions that are in the continent, as opposed to them being led by external legal counsel. I'd like to see the heightening of the standards, and working with integrity, working with responsiveness, working with the level that you would expect, the best level of service that you can provide. That's really what I'm trying to achieve. And if we can get that and get people who get it, because the more that we demonstrate that we can be reliable as legal service providers on the continent, the better it is for everyone who comes after us.
Are you driving mentoring and training initiatives? What are you doing? I think connecting it back to this kind of empathetic human level and justice. What are you doing? What are you taking on yourself in terms of mentorship for young lawyers?
So I have a mentorship group of about 15 lawyers. I have to say that shout out to the the mentees. I have to say that I could do much better. It's been crazy. But any of them, we have a WhatsApp group, and any of them who has any help or needs any help, then I'm available for one-on-one conversations with them, leading them, guiding them onto their careers. You can never, take a donkey to water. Only people who really want to be mentored need to be mentored. I also believe in reverse mentorship. I ask them questions if I need to. I'll reach out and say, you guys, how do you do this? Or what is the current thinking on this? And they can give me information as well. So it's both ways. But I believe in mentorship. I believe in finding someone who can give you guidance or can be a sounding board for you. And I think every young lawyer should be doing that.
Okay. Who was that person for you?
Gosh.
Who has had the biggest impact on your career here?
That is so interesting. I mean, what I think I've done, because I've not really had a formal mentor, what I've done is taken from pockets of people that I've seen do excellent things or do things well, and relied on them to be a sounding board when I needed to. I would say that I should have had a stronger one-person mentor at the beginning. I think that I've just relied on looking at what people are doing and then saying, this is someone I can emulate.
Is it too late now? Is there still opportunities
No,
to do that?
no, now I know.
My nickname for you is Judge Njeri. So where is the judgmental? Because that's where we're going to, Njeri.
And I love it.
That's what she wants. There are lots of people that I talk to now and rely on for advice and stuff. And shout out to them.
Is there ambition to be judge?
No,
Njeri.
No, but don't. I can never rule
it out.
Yeah.
It's been my dream for her since university.
Yeah.
You would make an excellent judge.
Do you think so?
Yes. I really do.
I see her up there.
You're really clear about, I think, kind of what's right and what's wrong, but you also hold a lot of grace for the complexity of situations.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to talk honestly, we need an overhaul of the judiciary anyway. I think, the way that systems work is not really for the betterment of the people who want to use the legal services. And that's the honest truth at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you think you have a part to play in that?
If there is one, I'm happy to do my part, obviously. Because at the end of the day, it's only for the betterment of the legal services that we're providing in this country. So yes.
In this season of your life, what surprises you about yourself?
My gosh. You know what I've been thinking recently is how tired I am. Like, I used to be like, I don't care what time it is, I'll do it. I'll do the 5 a.m.s, I'll do the 1 a.m., I'll do it all. And now I'm like, my God, am I getting old already? Like, I'm tired.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But I think that also maybe then offers an opportunity for something different.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about rethinking how I'm going to do things. Also taking more time to do things for myself, in order to get that, to get the energy levels that I want. Enjoying the stuff that I do too. I think you can't do everything, which I tend to try and do. Just really prioritizing, I think.
Yeah, you have to be so much more discerning. Yeah, Njeri of like 20s and 30s, you were on the grind.
Yeah. And not even taking a beat.
No.
But anyway, I think it's but I would still say to anyone who's young and has energy, do it when you're young and you have energy, because otherwise, what's going to happen? You get all the experience that you need in those 20s and 30s. So you better put in.
And that's the time to do it.
That's the time to do it.
That's the time to do it.
Yeah, totally. Something people would be surprised to learn about you.
Surprised to learn. Oh, I like sewing, knitting.
Really?
Yeah. I like that.
I mean, you're an artist at heart.
But I like a task.
Right?
I like a task, like doing specific tasks. Like
That
I can
is so
really
Njeri.
get to do like a button or a few buttons or sewing something. I like that.
Like tangible,
Yes.
achievable,
And it has
like a smart goal.
Yeah, it has a
Yes,
goal.
I love that.
After that,
Very
you
hard.
put it up. I actually make hairpins.
You do?
Like hair bubbles. Yeah, I've done that.
too.
Like
Why have you
bows.
never made?
I know, I've never seen one.
I want I like a challenge, like that kind of stupid challenge.
Okay. Is this why you love cooking?
I love cooking because it's something that you can actually, it's achievable. It's not abstract. It's like you can
Tangible.
you can do it.
Make it.
Yeah.
You have the end product.
Yeah, and the end product. And I love making people happy. That gives people endless amounts of joy.
How long have you been doing the podcast for?
We're now in the 4th year
Wow.
because I started it when we just joined CDH in
Bef-
2021.
Before the time everyone had a podcast.
Yes. And now everyone has a podcast. Everyone has a podcast. Everyone thinks they're a podcaster. Yeah.
What have you learned in doing the podcast over the 4 years?
First of all, okay, when I first started the podcast, I didn't want people to see my face because I thought it's audio.
Yeah.
It's better that way. And I don't want to be like, a celebrity or anything like that. And so you wouldn't see my face. You would just hear the audio. And, even on the caption, there was, no photo or anything like that. And then I realized that, people want to see your face, people want to engage with you, and you have to be brave enough to take the chances. I'm not a size 8, I'm cross-eyed to start off with, there's definite issues, but you have to be brave enough and get the message out there. It's not, it's more important to get the message out there than that. So over the time, I've been more confident, being in front of the camera and talking and stuff like that. I've also learned that, you have to go with what people are saying. So any script is not going to work. It's a conversation and you should be trying to conversate with the people. And then there's been really beautiful moments. People have always, and I really appreciate the audience. They always come and tell me. I've met people on flights telling me I've met stewards and, all telling me that they watched it. And
That's
just
so
that,
awesome.
It's
connection.
It's a connection,
Yeah.
but they liked it. They liked the guest. I love that. That make me happy all day.
Now your audience are going to release it. You've never done this before.
No.
So
this is the first time.
this is the first time. It's going to be great to hear what the feedback is like.
I can't
and
wait
seeing
to
a bit
see.
more about you.
Yeah.
Because there is so much. I think that's the thing, Njeri. With this your work life, but yeah, the other side of Njeri is just so multifaceted. There's so much about you, and I think that's one thing that I wanted people to come across, to see another side of Madame Njeri.
What do you love about yourself?
One of the things that I'll start with. One of the things that I really don't like is like I mean, there are many things, but one of the things I really don't like is when I can't, or when I'm afraid to say what I'm feeling because of fear of like how people will judge me and stuff like that. And so getting comfortable with being just your authentic self. I like the fact that I'm challenging myself all the time to try and be, the authentic self, whether or not it's received positively. Because at the end of the day, I'm a people pleaser, right? And I just want to make sure that I'm being authentic all the time, or try to be at least.
Well, you still haven't answered the question. What
That's
do you
it.
love about yourself?
That's it.
The fact
That I'm trying.
That you're trying.
Yeah. Is that not a good answer?
I mean, I'll accept it.
What did you want me to say?
I think the reason that I'm pushing back is because you started with, I don't like.
Oh, okay. I think what I like about myself is that I care.
Okay.
Yeah. I care about people, I care about what I'm doing, and I care about making sure that it's right.
Yeah, you really do care very deeply. Yeah. Okay, I accept.
I know. I feel like I've asked my very poignant questions.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, so I mean, you Jerry, what does friendship mean to you?
Oh, great
Oh
question.
my God, that's such a great question.
So good.
Everything. I think even looking at the two of you, the reason that we're friends is because of the fact that we can say very honestly to each other the things that are on our minds. We've known each other for so long. We've been there through really trying times that we will not discuss on this podcast. We've seen each other in horrific, situations in life, and still, we battle on. Yeah. For me, it's just about people who understand me and get it, and you guys get it, and you've always tried to get it. You can be friends with people and they don't see the best in you, and I think you guys have always tried to see the best in me, and I hope I do the same for you guys.
Always.
Always.
Yeah.
Like I say, you always bring me back to center.
Yeah.
If I'm ever, well, maybe I don't even realize it, but after like a weekend with Jerry, I'm like, I need to think about my life. I need to get serious with the finite time that I have and get serious. So I love that about you. Mm-hmm. You're so much fun, but you bring me back to center to always be thinking. So you've left me thinking about my life last night. I wasn't able to sleep.
Was that a good thing? Is that a good thing?
Like, what are my next moves when I'm going
But I
back
love you guys,
now?
and thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you for having
I
us.
feel very, very honored.
I feel honored to be here. I feel honored to be here, to have a seat with Aleya. I know how special she is to you. So, yeah.
It's so cool that we get to do this together.
Me too.
I love it. And I'm just in awe of like how just fully yourself you are.
And she's not changed. She's delivered from the time I met her. She's delivered on everything that she said she was going to achieve and more. She always over delivers, Jerry.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And then just looking so beautiful as you do it.
Exactly.
Thank you. I love you guys. Chic. All the time. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you doing this. And it's going to be one of my favorite episodes
Me
ever.
too.
Oh, hearts.
Hearts.